Hello, you're watching Shalom World News. I'm Dana Villa from Chicago, Illinois. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. The Palestinian foreign minister on Monday, February 19, accused Israel of implementing apartheid policies and urged the United Nations International Court of Justice to declare Israel's occupation of lands sought for Palestinian state as illegal, emphasizing that it must end immediately and unconditionally for any prospect of any two-state solution to survive. The remarks were made during historic hearings focusing on the legality of Israel's 57-year occupation. Despite the hearings aiming to discuss Israel's control over the occupied West Bank, Gaza Strip, and annexed East Jerusalem, the recent Israel-Hamas conflict dominated the discussion. Riyad al-Maliki, the Palestinian Foreign Affairs Minister, highlighted the dire situation, stating that 2.3 million Palestinians in Gaza, including half of them children, are subjected to violence, while over 3.5 Palestinians in the West Bank endure colonization and racist violence. A recent report by the International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law, or Intersociety, reveals Nigeria experienced its deadliest year of Islamist attacks against Christians in 2023. It paints a grim picture of the violence, including killings, kidnappings, and forced disappearances targeting predominantly Christian communities across various parts of Nigeria. Covering a span of 13 months from January 2023 to January 2024, the report attributes over 8,000 deaths to the combined actions of government-backed Islamic jihadists and the country's security forces. Emphasizing the severity of the situation, the report's author, Emeka Agbalasi, warns of an ongoing, quote, silence genocide, end quote, targeting Christians in Nigeria. The report describes the period as the deadliest in recent memory and criticizes the Nigerian government and security forces for their failure to effectively respond to the crisis. Here in the U.S., the Alabama Supreme Court recently issued a landmark ruling stating that human embryos created through an in vitro fertilization, or IVF, are to be legally recognized as children protected by state law. This decision, arising from the case LePage versus Mobile Infirmary Clinic Incorporated, originated when frozen embryos belonging to multiple couples stored at the Center for Reproductive Medicine at the Mobile Infirmary Medical Center were destroyed due to mishandling by a client who gained unauthorized access to the facility. In their lawsuit, the affected couples contended that these embryos should be considered people under Alabama's wrongful death statute. Initially, a lower court rejected this argument, asserting that the embryos did not qualify as human beings. However, the Alabama Supreme Court, in an 8-1 decision, overturned this ruling. Justice James Mitchell said that the broad scope of the wrongful death of a minor act extends legal protection to all children, born and unborn, without exception. A 2024 joint annual report states that over 100 Christians were arrested in Iran in 2023, where over one-third were arrested for possessing multiple copies of the Bible. The report released on Monday, February 19, states that the Iranian regime specifically targets those involved in Bible distribution. The advocacy groups, Article 18, Christian Solidarity Worldwide, Open Doors, and Middle East Concern, in their joint report detailed the surge in arrests under the regime, with over 160 arrests documented in 2023 compared to 134 in 2022. The advocacy groups recommended the Iran government's immediate and unconditional release of Christians detained on charges topics related to their faith or religious activities. The advocacy groups also ask the global community to hold Iran accountable for failures to fulfill its obligations under international law upon highlighting human rights violations during bilateral and multilateral dialogues with Iran. Thanks to the Go Make Disciples mission initiated by Archbishop Anthony Fisher, the number of people attending the Rite of Christian Initiation for Adults program in Sydney has tripled in the past 3 years, suggesting a surge in the number of new Catholics. On Sunday, February 18, over 300 people participated in the Rite of Election liturgy at St. Mary's Cathedral, marking a crucial step toward complete Catholic initiation. Sydney Archbishop Anthony Fisher, OP, presided over the event. The Rite of Christian Initiation for Adults, or the RCIA, is a program for welcoming adults into the Catholic Church with a focus on non-baptized people preparing for baptism and initiation. In Pakistan, a Christian man named Fansan Shahid was sentenced to life imprisonment under blasphemy laws for posting a derogatory message on social media. His relatives claimed his innocence, stating that the message was posted by someone else while his phone was stolen in 2019. Shahid was arrested in 2022 and was forced to confess the crime by inflicting torture. The court convicted Shahid for making derogatory remarks against the Prophet of Islam. The court also noted a, quote, mitigating circumstance, end quote, because the message was only posted once, resulting in a life sentence rather than the necessary death penalty. Shahid was also punished and convicted in additional sections involving religious sentiments and communal unrest. His family is gearing up to file an appeal. In a fresh outbreak of ethnic violence between tribes in Papua New Guinea, at least 26 fighters and an unconfirmed number of villagers were reportedly killed. Violence erupted on Sunday, February 18, in the Enga province when a tribe and their allies were ambushed as they were gearing up to assault a neighboring tribe. The recent clash occurred just more than a month after a state of emergency was declared in the capital, Port Moresby, following the riots that claimed 22 lives on January 10. Speaking with Asian News Agency, the General Secretary of the Papuan Episcopal Conference, Father Giorgio Licini, held the citizens, churches, and the government responsible for the violence. He pointed that a few emerging evangelical and Pentecostal communities were pushing the country into the abyss of religious fundamentalism. The Archbishop of Manila, Cardinal Jose Advincula, in a homily which he delivered during the Eucharistic celebration as part of the annual Walk for Life March, urged the faithful to rethink pro-life strategies and methodologies to adopt approaches that avoid judgment and condemnation. The annual Walk for Life March was held on Saturday, February 17, between Quezon City and Manila, that was joined by thousands of Catholics. Addressing more than 80 church groups and Philippine pro-life organizations, the Cardinal exhorted everyone to be grateful to the Lord for the life that He has bestowed upon them. He also decried the attacks on human lives from all sides, especially on the most vulnerable ones, namely the unborn, the sick, and the elderly. The 2024 Divine Mercy Conference will be held at Ireland's Royal Dublin Society. The conference, commencing on February 23rd and culminating on the 25th, will focus on the theme, Jesus, I Trust in You. A few of the prominent speakers for the event are Alphonsus Cullinan, the Bishop of Waterford and Lismore, and Father Pat Collins and Father Yunan MacDonald. According to the organizers, a participation of over 6,000 is expected online, whereas more than 4,000 might attend in person. The conference will be broadcast online on the official website of the conference, along with Shalom World for viewers in Ireland, the USA, the UK, Australia, South America, India, and many other countries. The organizers of the event expressed their gratitude in a letter to all the participants who have been praying and attending the conference for the past 30 years. As part of the 7th edition of the Day of the Catacombs, Rome's Catacombs will be open to the public on March 2 for free guided tours, prayer, and meditation. The event will be held as a preparation for the Jubilee of 2025. This year's Day of Catacombs has the theme From Remembrance to Prayer. Rome's catacombs are ancient Christian cemeteries that were dug underground while Christian persecution was at its peak. They are also testimonies of the first Christian community of Rome. Many early popes of Rome, martyrs, and Christian families were buried there. The event will conclude with Holy Mass celebrated by Bishop Pascual Iacobon in the Catacombs of Priscilla in the Basilica of San Silvestro. For those who are interested to know the full list of the events, you can visit the official website of the event. In Argentina, Archbishop Sergio Fenoy of Santa Fe de la Vera Cruz has initiated the canonization process for Sister Cecilia Maria of the Holy Face, the Carmelite sister who died from cancer at the age of 43 in 2016. The directive issued on February 14 emphasized her steadfast trust in Jesus Christ as she battled illness. Friar Malco Kisia, the postulator, officially requested that her case for canonization be opened considering the growing reputation of her sanctity. Sister Cecilia, born Cecilia Maria Sanchez Sorondo, was recognized for her cheerful attitude, devotion to prayer, and compassion for people. She won thousands of hearts across the world with her smiling face at the moment of her death. In the Indian state of Assam, Jorhat's Carmel School is seeking police protection following threats to remove religious symbols from the school premises. On February 16, the staff at the church-run school in the state discovered a threatening poster demanding to remove all Christian symbols within a week. The school principal, Sister Rose Fatima, filed a complaint on February 17, which detailed the sense of panic created in the school following the discovery of the poster. On February 7, Hindu leaders held a press conference at the state's capital where they warned Christian schools to remove religious symbols. They also asked the Catholic priests, nuns, and religious brothers not to wear cassocks and habits in schools. The Christian leaders said that there was a surge in threats against the community in the northeastern region. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us tomorrow. In the meantime, you can visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.